Hello and welcome to Boy Talk. I'm Jonas, aka the Bohemian Surf Bum.
A surf nomad who's lived the last 5 years traveling and chasing waves and is absolutely obsessed with surfboard and their design. So with that, let's get back to board talk.
Today we're gonna tackle which board to choose in which conditions, for which level, and for which style. So let's dive right into it. So first things first, we have to categorize where you're standing with your surfing to see which ability fits which board. So we're gonna define the three terms, which is like a beginner surfer, intermediate surfer, and an expert surfer. As a beginner, you just started basically surfing. Everything is quite intense and overwhelming, and you need time to adapt to environment. Like read the ocean, get used to your board, get used to like lying on a board, balance like in a horizontal, paddle, doing a pop-up, doing all these complex movements in the perfect timing. With that said, you just have to think about different needs from your board. So which board you should choose and why. So at the beginning, you need a lot of paddle power. You need stability to perform a stable pop-up. You want a board that is forgiving. So a big round nose, round outline, round rails. So everything is soft and smooth. So basically, you're just tackling a soft top. Try to think that it's adjusted to your height and size. So if you're a big heavy guy, you need a big heavy soft top. If you're just like small tiny woman, you need as well like a tiny soft top. Everyone says soft top and everything leads to it because it just makes sense, because it brings all this like roundness and forgivingness. And they're spongy, they're soft. So if you hit yourself, if you hit others in the lineup, you're not going to hurt someone. So that's a big plus. Let's think about, you mastered all this. You've been a couple years into it, getting more comfortable with like different waves, different setups. So talking about you making the gap to an intermediate surfer means you can paddle out at nearly every spot. You can surf a beachy, you can surf a reef break, you can surf a point break. You understand like what it is and like how to surf it, and you have like a stable pop-up. Your paddling is good, your technique is clear, you know when to do what. You do a bottom turn and you start to getting into maneuvers, like start to getting doing top turns, start to connect more with the wave, like trying to surf in the pace, stay in the pocket, and doing cutbacks, all this sorts of stuff. And yeah, just basically surfing in different conditions and different type of waves, and bigger and faster waves as well, with different boards and different waves and different needs. To perform all these maneuvers, what you want is like something that's a bit smaller than like your softy, but doesn't mean you have to scale down your board size too quick. Because what often people do is like they're spending holidays a couple times a year, like surfing, I don't know, Indonesia, Maldives, or like in Morocco, something like that, getting pushed into waves and having the fun of their life and thinking, yeah, right, now I'm an intermediate surfer. And so the conclusion is I need a smaller board to like rip like John Florence does and stuff like this. But it's not how it's going to work. Usually people choosing too small boards, like under volume themselves, and the conclusion to that is that they just struggle with like catching waves, doing good pop-up, losing the wave, like disconnecting from the power source, just like struggle to progress with their surfing. So that in mind, which board you should choose as an intermediate surfer. And I always would recommend something still in the higher volume range. As a lower intermediate surfer, it's like still pretty great to like smaller days, choose a longboard and like engage the rail, get familiar with that, or mini Malibu or something like that, where you have more time, stable ground still, but still can feel your way into maneuvers. And then like middle range intermediate, getting aboard something I recommend often like mid-length, or something like a bigger performance wide or a big fish, something that still has got like a round outline, more volume in the nose, under the chest as well, and rounder, more forgiving rails. So that could be, yeah, like a mid-length, like a, I don't know, 6'6", 6'8". Back in the days, it's been called X, because if they're like eggy shape or like performance eggs, it is like less eggy. So I would recommend something like this, which is like a mid-length. Like I said, it has got like a rounder outline in general, like more eggy, a wide nose, so it catches waves easily, more volume in the chest, so you can paddle it quite quick, and it's still stable when you paddle into a wave, so it gives you like more time and more stable ground to do a pop-up as well. It's with its round rails, it's also more forgiving in doing turns and not being perfect and precise with your technique. Other boards which can suit you and you can benefit as an intermediate surfer depending on the conditions we're gonna relate later to is like a performance wide, which is like performance shortboard, but just with like rounder outline again, and also just a bit bigger, something like a 6'6" maybe, in that range. And the other thing what I really like is just surfing a fish, but not in a retro way, more in a bit bigger way. Like often fishes tends to be quite small, like something like 5'4", 5'8", but then you struggle again with like catching waves, and it's like super unstable. As a 20, it skids out. So just getting a 6'2" fish with like a round outline and a wide nose and a lot of volume under the chest can be actually a perfect board for intermediates as well, especially smaller, fun, mushy waves and conditions like that. The last thing coming from intermediate to expert, expert is a surfer that can paddle out at any break and feeling confident in like understanding all this different other breaks, and it's like getting way deeper into more complex maneuvers, like getting sharper maneuvers and turns as well, and surfing bigger waves, being like more confident in it, develop like our own style, sort of being confident and flowy in intense situations, and let seems the intense stuff effortless. Someone who tucks into like a big double overhead barrel and just be like relaxed, being effortless. That's like for me the definition of like being an expert surfer. So that said, I hope that helped you to categorize where you are and with your surfing and skill. Next topic is which board to choose in which conditions, because we not just choose boards adapted to our skill level, and also boards being shaped to perform different in all different sorts of waves. So if it's like something, so the perfect quiver, for example, it's not just, at least for me, it's not just a couple of different short boards. So for all different kind of waves, you have different sorts of shapes and boards which they work in. So we're just gonna scale up the different sizes and energy types of waves. So just let's start by knee to hip high day, like soft waves. Best bet is always to go something with like more volume. Just choosing a long board and cruise into that soft waves. It can be very frustrating if you bring a too small board to too small waves, because you're not going to be able to catch them. And even if, then you're not able to do something because you have not enough speed and not enough power in the wave to perform a decent maneuver or something like that. So small soft waves, longboard, mini Malibus, or something like a very boaty fish, something like that can be fun as well. But technically something, again, that offers you a lot of pedal power and a lot of volume so you can float. Let's say the wave's getting a bit bigger. We're talking about like hip to head high. You still can, if you like, ride a longboard like very decent, have like a lot of fun with that on this size. But you have also now the possibility to ride boards that handle a bit more or work well in a bit bigger waves, or like a bit more waves with like a bit more energy, like a 6'2" fish with a bit more volume and a round outline as well. It can be super fun in softer waves that be like hip to head high. and also something like a Groffler, which is like something like a performance wide with a bit more volume in the nose, rocker, and chest as well. It can be decent fun on these smaller days. The other option is always mid-length, which is something like 6.6 to like 7.2, 7.5, something like this. Can be like a single fin or can be a twin fin. Often offers like great fun as well, because you can pedal in early into the wave, which is like good with the crowds, and also can experiment more. You can like change your stance and mix it up, and just use the time the wave gives you to stay more connected to it and surf the pocket, feel the high line, and just have a great day and a good surf and fun. So let's think about the waves getting a bit bigger and especially like more powerful. Like a head high wave can be very mellow, but it can be also like very powerful depending on the break, the tide, and the energy of the swell. So if it's like a fast hollow wave but still like head high, something like a performance shortboard or like a performance wide can be good fun, because it offers you often like more rocker, so you can drop in later and like faster, and just offers you like more hold and stability down the line while the wave's getting faster. And boards that are bigger and having less rocker, like mid-lengths for example, tend to be a bit harder to drop if it's getting like hollow and fast. They're doing well in bigger waves because you get a bit more time for the drop and everything. But yeah, in like head high, fast hollow waves, often classic shortboard with like a lot of rocker and a bit more volume is like a good bet for these days. That also let you like duck dive deeper, which is helpful in that sort of waves. So talking about like head high to like double overhead waves, I recommend often, especially if it's crowded, bring something with like a bit more volume as well. So again, mid-length, like a performance X sort of. So like a mid-length with like an outline that's like a bit more narrow, not super round. A bit more rocker, and maybe as a twinny, so it's faster and like pedaling and down the line, can offer like great possibilities in that sort of surf. Give you like a bit more time, a bit more stability down the line as well. If you tackle a bigger wave with a mid-length, you have to think about, because they haven't got that much rocker, you have to angle more the wave and not dropping straight like you would do with a shorter board with more rocker. But if you do that, then offer like great hold down the line and a lot of speed as well. So I recommend that. Apart from that, everything like performance with a bit as a step up. So a lot of people riding something like 6.2 to like 6.5 with like a pintail to give you like more hold, and then as a thruster or as a quad setup. So you have just like more stability down the line, and also like in the turns, the boards handle the speed better as well. So that would be like the classical like step up. And then if you're talking like triple overhead, like proper big wake surfing, then we get into guns, which is like 7.2, or even like elephant guns, which are like, I don't know, it's like 8.0, but like very narrow, very pintail. And that just being like even faster and more stable, and you can pedal in early and have like great hold. They're like the sort of roundup, like which board to choose in which conditions. I hope that's helpful for you guys. If not, like let me know in the comments. Quick roundup, like what is a surfboard and which part is named what and what it does. So we're just going to talk about conservative surfboard design, which is a piece of foam carved into a shape and glassed with resin. It floats and not soaking water. There are different types of foam and different types of resin, but all that said, it's going to be different topics for different episodes of Board Talk. So just starting at the beginning. So we have the nose at the board. Actually, like the tip of the nose often is not as relevant as you might think, because it sticks out of the water. It's not in the water, so it particularly does nothing. More relevant is the part around the nose. So the nose sort of ends here. And the nose is relevant for all sorts of stuff, mainly like how the board is floating through the water and how easy the water can run sideways as well through the board when performing a turn or a maneuver. So a rounder nose means it's more forgiving, it's more floaty, it's paddled in easier, and yeah, it gives you more hold actually, but also often means that the board has more water to the nose is blocking more water. So a wider nose also means often the board is slower, because like, yeah, a very narrow nose can like glide through the water and like pushes water to the side real quick, while like a round nose gonna tackle more water, if you want to call it like this. Then the next part is like the upper rocker of the board, which is like from the nose to here sort of. It's the bend, so the curve from the board, and that's relevant to a couple of factors. The one factor is like how, again, the water is flowing through the board. So the water is always flowing through the bottom of the board and through the rails of the board. So if you have a lot rocker, like on that board, it's quite rockish. The impact on the board is going to be its paddle slower, but therefore it also holds a drop way better. So imagine the board is like falling like this on the surface. As more it sticks out in a banana, at less likely it is to nosedive. So that said, more rocker you can drop into steeper waves and you can drop later, but therefore you slower. Next part is like the middle section of the board. That's like where your chest is lying on, sort of. And it's relevant again to like the pedal power, also like how fast the board is like paddling and flowing, and yeah, how buoyancy it is. So you can put more volume in here, like in that middle part, makes the board like, yeah, more buoyancy, which can help with paddling, but also can feel the board quite boaty and wobbly if it's like too thick. The next part is like the back rocker. That's again like how bananish the board is at the back, which has got again impact on like how easy the water is releasing to the sides of the board, means how easy you can turn and how much lift the board is generating when you surfing down the lawn, but also if you're carving the board. Means if you do shortboard, you carve like a tic-tac, and the energy you're producing while doing this is related to the back rocker as well. Then the tail of the board, there are all sort of different tails. This one is, yeah, quite experimental tail, I would say, to be honest. But in general, there are pintails, squash tails, fish tails, yeah, and some experimental tails like this, actually. And they're all good and offers different kind of stuff in different conditions. In general, you can say as longer and rounder the tail is, so a pintail, for example, gives you more hold because the water is flowing like this. As more cutted the tail is, as less hold it's going to give you, so as easier it is to turn it. So a squash tail, which is like just cut it flat, makes it easy for the water to flow sideways, while a pintail makes it easier for the water to flow sideways, to flow straight, which means pintail is like good down the line, that gives you more hold, and more squash tail is the opposite, gives you like more pivot in the turn. And yeah, then a fishtail is the combination. It's like two pintails which means it gives you hold, but also let you release. And this experimental sort of thing is a conclusion of that as well. Same with like the squash tail. So a combination of like gives you hold, but also let you release. The most obvious and general point is the outline of the board, which defines the general shape. So the outline means everything that outlines the board. This is performance wide. So for a short board, it has got a quite wide outline. But compared to fish or a mid-length or long board, the outline is narrow. As wider the outline, as slower the board, but as more hold the board offers you. The next thing are the rails. You can have basically sharp rails, which means they really have an edge. You have that here at the tail, but here they're quite round. And the purpose of a rail is a round rail will be like very forgiving. So if the board does this or you're in a turn, as round rail is, as more forgiving is the board, means if you act with your body, the board gonna react to it. As sharper the rail is, as more precise the movement gonna translate to the board. Means in conclusion, if you know what you're doing and your movement are very precise, you're gonna like sharper outlines and a sharper rail because it's gonna be like very precise. But if you're a more intermediate surfer or even a beginner, you do a lot of movements that are like not precise. You like wiggle your hands and stuff like this, and that translates in a precise board with sharp outline and sharp rail into just gonna slow down. You're gonna drag rail and fall and stuff. So you just want to have like a rounder rail as a beginner or intermediate surfer. Or as the waves are softer as well, because sharp rails and softer waves tend to knife into the wave and just slow you down and you dig rail and fall off and stuff. So they are the basics of board design. So that was the first episode of Board Talk. I hope you guys find it helpful. And if yes, then please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell and the like button and all this kind of stuff, as it helps me keeping producing that content. The next episode gonna be more detailed topic about fin setups, like which fins to use in which conditions. I hope to see you guys back then. There. Stay stoked. See you next time. Bye.